Now, Pastor Nige, you've been doing a series. You started a series on excess baggage. And so even though I've come today, I thought, well, why don't we just keep going with the theme? It's something that happens to all of us. I had a pastor when I was a kid. He lives in heaven now. His name is Lloyd Averill. And I'm glad he lives in heaven. He'd be 280 years old if he was still here. So he was like 150 when he was my pastor. But he used to say this. He said, look, the birds will always fly over your head, but don't let them make a nest in your hair. And so I don't know that it originated with him, but that's who I heard. So, and I think that's pretty well the way it is. Turn to your neighbour and say, stuff happens. Have you ever got back to your car after the shopping centre and someone's opened the door on it? And you think, and they left a note, and the note said something like, the people around think I'm writing a note with my name and address. Stupid people. And I tell you one thing I've noticed, though, as you get older, you get smart. Where's these three guys here? See, when you're young, you think old people are stupid. But there's this old lady, my age, going through, I'm 62, so just getting going. But there's this lady in the drive-through Macca's. Do you have Macca's here in below? All right, well, in the Kingaroy, in the drive-through now, they have 2 lanes now. Have you noticed that? Well, that's the first point of tension. You pull in behind a Prius and you think, I've got to get to the speaker before them, because you get the lane, because, you know, it sort of has to move in turn. And so this old lady, like whatever old is, we don't do the screens very well. Am I the only one? Like I walk in and they got you got to do it yourself now. No, I just walk straight up to the counter. And I said, look, I forgot my glasses. Well, they're on my head, but I never make reference to them, and so I make them help me, all right? I go through the Woolies checkout, you know, and I say to the lady there, you know why I don't use self-serve? She says, no. I said, so you've still got a job next year, mate. That's why. And so anyway, this lady's going through the drive, and she just beats, you know, the school mum in the minivan. You know, so she's already tense, isn't she? And of course, old mama, she doesn't really know how to work the screen, so she's obviously taking a little longer. So minivan mum, and the older lady's seeing this in the mirror, right? So when the older lady gets to the first window where you have to pay, is that correct? She says to the young lady, I'm sorry it took so long. Has the young mum, has she ordered too? And the girl looked at her, oh yes, she's put in her order. So, well, I'd like to pay for it. So she paid for the young mum's order and got the receipts. When the young mum gets to the window, the young lady's obviously told young mum, old grandma has paid for your order. So now, beep, beep. You know what I mean? Love hearts. But don't forget, old people are smart. So by now, grandma's at the second window picking up the order. So she hands 2 receipts. She gets both orders and drives off. Oh, don't mess with old people. We know stuff. All righty. Have we got, I sent some pictures, and I'm not technical at all. I met Daniel, he's an IT expert. I am an IT moron. My mother said to me growing up, well, she said to other people, my son Steve, he has 2 speeds, on and moron. I thought it was a compliment. Anyway, I had a picture about, with the boy and the dad. This is the new... what's the magic word to get what you want? I'm offended. It seems to be, all you got to do is be offended and you get a promotion. You get a car park. You know, that's the way it works now. Well, we got to get rid of this stuff because look at me, that's excess baggage. Yeah. I want to read a verse to you from some Hebrews 12:1. And I am the second part of the series that our pastor's teaching on. So can we put Hebrews 12:1 up? I think we got it. Therefore, When I did Bible college, they said this to us. When you see therefore, you've got to find out what it's there for. So you've got to go back to Hebrews chapter 11 to find out why Hebrews 12 starts with therefore. And you find out a whole lot of people in Hebrews 11 that serve Jesus, lose everything, but keep smiling and serving Jesus. I think one verse said, some were sawn in half. Give me a wave if you've read that, just to show the others that that's in there. Some were fed to the lions, and they still kept serving Jesus. So then the writer to Hebrews talks to us and says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses, those mentioned in the last chapter, but let's broaden it. Also the people who live next door to you now and the people who live next door to you next week. Hey, Bob, new people are moving in. Hope they're better than the last people. I think they will be. They are the crowd of witnesses. It says here, they are witnesses to our life of faith. It's not going to be too many Sundays. Hey, Bob, they're driving out. Every Sunday morning they drive out. Where do they go? Don't look like they're dressed for the footy. They are our new crowd of witnesses. They are witnesses to our life of faith. Your neighbours know where you are this morning. And they've done the sums and already know, in their estimation at least, whether your life measures up to this life of faith. So let us turn to your neighbour and say, that's talking to you personally. It doesn't say let somebody else. Have you noticed that when kids soil themselves, it just ends up on the laundry floor and someone else cleans it up? I was married 20 years and I still thought that worked because every time I walked in the laundry, whatever I put there was gone. I said, this is a magic room. I was staying at a motel in town last night and having some Nutrigrain. They've got this sort of kitchen area where you can go and have Nutrigrain. And, I'm coming back. But there was a couple of young guys walked in there, obviously they're FIFOs, and they've got their washing basket and they're doing the washing. Well, they've worked out there's no magic room anymore, haven't they? See, because there comes a time when you just got to clean up after yourself. It says, and the preacher's pointing to the people in the congregation when he first preached this, because these are just sermon notes of someone's sermon that, God decided they'd be good for all churches, so he put it in the Bible. But someone preached this, and the preacher's looking, he said, come on, so let us. And he's pointing to everybody. It's not up to everybody else to do this now. You've got to do it for yourself. And look what it says. Let us strip off every weight. This is the excess baggage. The things that slow us down, especially the sin. Turn to your neighbour and say, that's got to be talking to you. Because that couldn't be me. Especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And I guess we've all got one tailor-made like that. So I want to keep with this theme, and I want to talk about offence. You ever been offended? I'm offended. That offends me. How dare you wear Crocs in public? Can I have one of them? Can I have one for just a moment? You're not wearing them. So can I? Who would wear these in public? That's offensive. My daughter bought me some of those for Christmas last year. And I looked at them. I'm a Boilermaker by trade. I don't know how many Boilermakers would wear them. White ones. They're like you're getting ready for the Australian Open. But when she bought them, and I looked at them, we put all our names in a hat and you just pick one out so you get a decent present. Well, until I got Crocs. And I'm looking at it thinking, and I did. I said, they will not be worn off the property. So that's it. You are not going to see me out in the street wearing them. I'm offended. Well, I had a buddy over. That was Christmas. In September, I'd kept my regime of keeping my secret life to myself. No one knew I had Crocs. But I had a buddy visiting from Mullaney. And so we went out for fish and chips. I ordered them, and then we jumped in the car, and we got to the shopping centre, and I put my foot down on the ground. And I went, ah! I'm telling you the absolute truth. I said, Rodney, I've got the Crocs on. I've got the Crocs on. I can't go out like this. So now I wear them everywhere. I love them. They're fantastic. They're great on the boat ramp. When you move to the Redlands, you'll want to get a pair of Crocs because they're brilliant when you're launching that big bow rider you're going to buy. Well, I heard God say more than you could ask or think. Hallelujah. Look at me. I want to make a very clear statement. I want you to hear this. And when you hear preaching, you should think about it. You shouldn't just take it. So I want you to think about the validity of what I'm going to say here. And you cannot offend me. Now, I want to say this carefully. You cannot offend me. You can scratch my car, but you cannot offend me. You can call my wife unsavory names, but you cannot offend me. You can fire me from my job 2 days before my long service is about to kick in, and you cannot offend me. You can overlook me for the promotion that I was deserving and have worked so hard for, but you cannot offend me. You're looking at me thinking, whoa, you must be so brilliant. What a charmed life you must have. But I want to say this to you. I did not say I cannot be offended. I'm saying you can't offend me. And here's the reason. Say offence. Humour me. Let's act like we're a year 9... No, not a year 9 class. You'd never do what I ask. I've taught year 9. Year 5. You're a year 5 class. Come on, say offend. All right, say offence. Now we're going to say it a bit slower. Say fence. We'll do it one more time. Say fence. I'm going to ask you to do it one more time, but we're going to add some sort of verb. Fence. See, it's a 2-part word. And you can only do one of them. I do the other. Oh, you shouldn't have said that. Out with the nail bag. Build a fence. See, it's called the fence. Are you happy? Do you get it? Yeah. I thought about it a lot before I came out this morning. No, they're going to be a real cerebral audience. They're going to get this. Now, you can never, ever avoid the because to get hurt, just live. But to get offended, live hurt. And this is what we have to cast off. This is one of the things that the apostle, the writer to the Hebrew church, was saying, you've got to strip that off because you've got to run the race. We didn't put up the next verse, but the next verse says, you do this by looking to Jesus, both the initiator and the sustainer of the faith life. My mother was 85 years of age, and she was driving up the street when a man who is now the mayor of our city came to a stop sign and went to hit the brake but hit the accelerator. She went straight through the stop sign and, T-boned my 85-year-old mother in her Hyundai XL. Do you know what most 85-year-olds would have done? They'd have built a fence around that. I'm never going to drive on the streets again. They're too dangerous. And valid. Valid. But what did my mother do? She said, yes, he owed me, but I will not build a fence. So she bought a new car with sat navigation. Collision avoidance. You know, all the mod cons. And she drove for another, well, she's 95 now, drove for almost 8 more years, and then one day said, I'm done with driving, I'm in charge. She took her licence down and handed it in. You see, here's the thing. When you build the fence, you protect your world. That's why we build them. But when you build the fence, you also shrink your world. And we live with, there's a lot of people with shrunken destinies because, I'll never talk to him again. Yeah, you built a fence. I get it. So don't tell me why you built the fence, because I get it. I've wanted to build it myself. I understand why we do it. But you have to know that every time you build a fence, you shrink your world. You limit your opportunities. My mother could have said, it's the bus for me for now. But she got over the and continued to pick up her friends for the seniors meetings at church. I'm telling you, if you know my mother, you know I'm telling the absolute. You know my mother. She is telling the truth. The woman is good with a jug cord still. If you're not laughing, you're under 40. You're not, you know that, like not allowed to hit people. Not my mother. 2 world wars within 20 years. Can you believe it? She can get with the jug cord from 4'8". The woman's wild. All right, let's get back to scripture then. All right, have we got a photo of that overhead photo of my house? This is my house there. See number 10? That's my house. I live there. I've lived there for 25 years. And see that little shed? That's a granny flat in the backyard. That oval, that's the pool. Those green things, they're the garages. And it's a ½ an acre. And it's just a big rambling old shack, to be quite honest. We've lived there 25 years. But so if you have a look at sort of the, is it called the topography? Well, you can't see the topography in that view, but we got a letter in the letterbox, and it was from the neighbour, this guy. That's Chris. We got a letter to say the council have given us a breach notice on our pool fencing, which was part of their side fencing. And so we've looked at all our fencing and it's all pretty cactus, so we're going to get new fences all round. We recognise that part of our fence adjoins your fence, so we're just letting you know that there'll be no fences for a couple of weeks, and if you want to get involved and help. Now, what I didn't realise until about a week later, that Barry and Karen on the top side had a bit of fence joining. Okay, Adam, who's in those trees somewhere, he's like a fruit grocer. He buys all fruit for the big supers. All right. This guy, he takes architectural photos for real estate. See, I didn't know any of that when the fences were up. I had a small world. It was just my 4, no more. You know, we could keep our little poodle, he could roam free for 30 metres. Poop wherever you like, as long as it's in this fenced off area. But for 2 weeks, we literally had to get to know each other. You know, the guy next door here, Mark, lives in number 8. And so we were neighbourly. His wife's a school teacher. And we all sort of will watch it. Hey, Adam, I can see your dog, mate. He's in my yard. You want to get him? Oh, sorry, Steve, I'll come get him. Within 2 weeks, all the fences were back up. Boop, 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 boop. I've not spoken to any of them since. Everyone's back to their small world. The only people we speak to is the guy in number 12 up there. His name's Adam now. And his wife's number plate is 666. Adam and Rhonda. So they're fun. But you know, we always talk to them, but funny enough, that's the only boundary where we have no fence. So we've always talked to them. You're amazing when you will drop the fence. I can't promise you that you'll never get, oh! But the writer to the Hebrews says, let us. See, I'm waiting for them to come and say, sorry to me. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say let them. It says let us. I have to take responsibility. Only I can build the fence that keeps you out of my life. Aren't those little white things in our ears, aren't they handy? We pretend, we're not listening to anything. We just don't want to talk to anyone. So we just put them in. My kids don't like me sometimes because this is me. I'm telling them the truth. I walk past people in the street because I look at them waiting, because they're going to look at you, aren't they? At some point, they're going to look at you. And I go, g'day. I hand $20 at Woolies, and the kid at Woolies is going to try and do the entire transaction without eye contact. It's not going to work with me, mate. So I go like that, and they grab it, but I don't let it go. And they go, until finally they look up, I go, how you doing? My favourite one is I walk past, sometimes because they don't look at you. You go, and then I go, not bad, what about you? It never helps, but it makes me feel good. All right, here we go. How do you live a non-offendable life? Can we read some scripture and we'll whiz through this? I've got just 3 points and we'll be done. 1 Samuel 17. Let's read this. This is about King David. He's going down to fight Goliath. You might not know the story, but any kid that has to go to battle, you know, it's a big deal. So David's got there. He sees the big giant on the other side and says, well, I can fight him because he's a young guy. You know, like, I ate a Snickers. I can do it. When David's older brother Eliab, because David's not even in the army, he's just delivering sandwiches to his brothers. Some of us know this story. So David says, oh, I can take that giant, easy. Look at him, he's got a head like a hubcap. But when David's older brother Eliab heard David talking like this, he was angry. What are you doing here anyway, he demanded. What about that? And you can understand here, what about the sheep? There would have been, you know, quite, because it's all tone, isn't it? It's, what about the few sheep, some versions say. You're supposed to be taking care of. And look what it says, I know what a cocky brat you are. That's the New Living Translation. You know what David had a right to do there? Oh, that's mean, isn't it? Oh. Let's keep reading. Next part. What have I done now, David said. I was only asking a question. And he walked over to some others and asked them the same thing and got the same answer. All right, we'll leave that one there for now. Here's 3 things you need to do. Just checking if you're awake, you 3. Got Harry, Larry and Mo over here. They don't even know who that is. I noticed we had a Donnie and Marie up here this morning. I said that to my youth pastor at church. You know how when you MC the service, sometimes you have a guy and a girl get up to share it? So I was saying to my youth pastor, well, we'll do a Donnie and Marie this morning for the MCing. And he went, okay, Mr. Faulty? I said, you don't even know who Donnie and Marie are, do you? And he didn't, so we'll leave that. It's another sermon. 3 things so that you can live. Now, look at me. You're not going to get through life without, that'll happen. But it doesn't have to limit your life. Here's the first thing. You need to develop a strong sense of person. Look at me. What I'm trying to say, you just got to know who you are. I was at school picking up one of my kids once, and they're long gone. My oldest girl's 40, my youngest kid's 29, there's 2 in between. And but I'm picking one of the kids up one day, just waiting on the brick wall at the school like all the other dads. And we hear this kid bellowing. Wah! And look, once they get up a certain decibel, they all sound the same, so no one even knows whose it is. So we're all looking, waiting for this kid to come around the corner to see, is it our precious little angel? Till finally this kid come around. Most of us went, not mine. But one dad, because it's his boy, and he goes over, and as the kid gets closer, Dad grabs him on the shoulders. This is tough love. Grabs him on the shoulders, gets down to his level. You know where the Psalm says God bends down? Yeah, God gets down to our level. So this dad gets down and he grabs his, what? And the kid says, they called me an idiot. When you're 6, This dad's got him on the shoulders. Kid says, they called me an idiot. Come on, Dad, what are you doing? What are you going to do? I tell you what, this dad, he was like Dad of the Year. He just looks at you and says, well, are you an idiot? I thought, come off it, Dad. Give him a chop. He just, are you an idiot? And the boy finally lifted his eyes. He's about 6. He says, no. He said, well, don't worry then. And I can't tell you, all of us other dads are there going, glad I'm not in his family. They eat rocks for breakfast. But literally, the boy went, and he was fixed. Someone just needed to remind him who he was. You're an idiot. Not actually. See, we got an accuser. The devil's trying to tell you you're no good, you're never going to make it. You know, there's been other people try what you're doing. They didn't work. Boom. And if you don't know, the greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world, you're going to build a fence. I guess. And now you're safe. You're living a beautiful life, but you're like a cockatoo in a cage. You've got 6 phrases. Look at Eliab. You cocky brat. So what did David do? He just asked someone else. He says, so David asked someone else the same question, and he got the same answer. He just turned to her, hey, what's going to happen if I kill this bloke? You're going to get to marry the king's daughter, you're going to get riches, and you're not going to have to pay tax, which is sort of the same thing as getting rich. You've got to have a strong sense of person. You've got to know who. Look at Psalm 139 says, just a couple of verses. It says, you made all the delicate inner parts of my body. You knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderful and complex. You want to know why Christians are building fences? Because they don't read the Bible. This has got to be my diet to find out who I am. And then worshiping God. I am who he says I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. Some of us can't even get out of our fence to sing the song. If you just sing the song, you'd find the latch on the gate. Anyway, we better keep going. I've got to finish in 5 because Pastor's got so much going on here. Number 2, you've got to have a strong sense of purpose. You've got to know why you're here. Eliab said, you're just a cocky brat. And David said, is there not a cause? Is there not a reason for somebody to talk like a warrior. Bill Gates in 2019 estimated Bill Gates earned $4 billion. That's $10 million a day. That's $456,000 an hour. That is $8,000 a minute, and it's $130 a second. So Bill Gates is walking along, and he drops 100. 3, 4, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds, 10 seconds. Oh, I got my $100. Yeah, you just lost $500,000. You spend $500,000 going backwards, and that's what happens when I got to go and have a chat to that bloke. How dare he call me that? No matter what he calls you, you know who you are. And I got people there, whole destiny is sidetracked because they will not put off the offense and keep walking, which is, I played golf once. Here, I'm only telling stories because you remember them better than us. I'm playing golf once. I've got a 6-iron because I've got to hit 250 metres. All right, no golfers here. You believe me. 6-iron's good for about 165 metres. But I can't hit a driver, so I'm hitting a 6-iron off the tee. But more importantly, about where the Land Rover is out there, so what's that, about 60, 70 metres from here, there's like a 6-foot kangaroo. He's just on the Gainsborough Greens on the middle of the fairway. What's he doing? He's doing what kangaroos do. He's eating grass. That's his purpose. He eats Nutri-Grain. And he's there. So I pick a 6-iron because I want to go over him. I don't want to hit him and I'll get elevation. So I launched, whoomba, and I did what we call a Brutus. Like, knifed him in the back. I got the ball right in the middle of the ball. So it went at about 250 kilometres an hour, about a half a metre from the ground, and I heard this, no! I got him. So what did he do? What would he have done if he was a human? But see, kangaroos don't write Dear John letters. Kangaroos don't whinge on Facebook. He went, oh! Straight back to his purpose. And I thought, learn a lesson from the kangaroo. He could have spent a minute chasing me and not doing what he was called to do. Get a strong sense of person. Know who you are. How many times does Paul start his letters to say, I, Paul, an apostle, chosen by God? He tells them, this is who I am. He said, I got shipwrecked, I got this, I got that, but I know who I am, I know why I'm here. And lastly, you've got to have a strong sense of pardon. You've got to forgive people. They wouldn't have done it to you if they knew who you were. It's like these people who road rage people. I've got a brother's a police inspector, but he doesn't always wear his uniform. He's just a regular Joe driving around like an old guy. He cuts people off because people do that. And people, and it comes a point where he just goes, he just puts that up at the window. See, they wouldn't do it to you if they knew who you were. But it actually doesn't matter if they don't know who you are. It matters that you know who you are. So my brother doesn't actually do that. He doesn't rant. He doesn't go, you better know I'm a policeman. He just knows. At the end of the day, I'm covered. Strong sense of person, strong sense of purpose, but you've got to have a strong sense of pardon. You just got to forgive people. I'm going to finish. Here, look at this verse. This verse destroyed me some years ago. Look, we always quote it. It's Matthew. chapter 5. If you're presenting a sacrifice at the altar, now if you've been in church a long time, you always quote this verse wrong. You won't today because I've pointed it out. But it says here, if you're in the temple and suddenly you remember that someone has something against you. We always quote that and you realise that you've got something against someone else. That's how we always quote it. Well, it doesn't say that. You say, am I my brother's keeper? Apparently. I asked God, said, why should I put it right when he's the buffet? You know what God said? Because you're at the altar. I can work with you. So this happened to me and I finished with it. I got a friend of mine that I had a big fight with about 20 years ago. I've got recent ones, but they're still painful. I had a big fight with. He was a buffhead. I think if we had umpires, he was a buffhead. And I got, but here's the trouble. He lives in my street. So every time I drive past his house, I've got to pretend I'm looking at something over there. So I've shrunk my world until I came to the place where God helps you. And I felt God say, you need to sort that out. And I said, God, I haven't got a problem. He's the moron. And God said, yeah, but so he's coming to you? I said, no. I said, well, then you better go to him. So I bought him a golf club. He was a golfer. I knocked on his door. Came to the door. I said, I bought you a present, mate. And he said, that's nice. I said, I've been thinking about you. He said, that's nice. I said, you wouldn't think it's nice if you knew what I was thinking. Because the birds are flying over my head. I'm just trying not to let them make a nest in my hair. And I bought him a present. And with that present saying, hey, it's all good, mate. It's all good. You know, I could tell you, I'll tell Pastor his name later because we're friends. We are friends. But that day, could have caused me to only ever see one side of my street. Because and I know people that won't walk on a side of a street or go to someone's house. And it's nonsense. The writer said, let us put these things off. Now he said, just look to Jesus, correct? Jesus knew who he was. Pilate said, I could set you free. Jesus said, well, actually, John 19, you can't do anything. Jesus knew who he was. Peter's trying to fight him in the garden when he got arrested. He said, Pete. I just talked to my dad. He'd send angels. But there's a reason I'm doing what I'm doing. What happened to him? But he didn't build a fence and forgive people. It says there was two people on the cross, one either side, and they're both ripping into him until one of them started to get the guilt. And he talked to the other and said, stop talking to him like that. I think he's innocent. We're not. And then he turned to Jesus. He was a murderer. It says, would you please forgive me? And Jesus said, too easy, mate. Well, he didn't do that. His hand was sort of, but you know what I mean. He said, technically, he said, you will be with me today in paradise. Come on. So how do we do it? We look to Jesus. That's how we do it. That's our example. Let's pray. Father, I think if we're humans, then I'm talking to people that have been, we've had it. We've been given them. Ex-partners, ex-bosses, ex-friends. But Lord, I pray, today is a good day to put down the axe. Today's a good day to put down the malice and put down the bitterness and to put off so that we might move forward in Jesus' name. Amen. Pastor, thank you.